Hi everyone, my name is Rose and I'm going to cover Chapter 10 about writing routine and positive messages in business communication today. After studying Chapter 10, you should be able to outline an effective strategy for writing routine business requests, describe three types of routine requests, outline an effective strategy for writing routine replies and positive messages, describe 6 common types of routine replies and positive messages. Strategy for routine request. Much of the vital communication between a company and its customer is about routine business matters. These messages fall into three groups: stating your request up front, explaining and justifying your request, and then requesting specific action and a courteous close. Making requests is a routine for a business. In most cases, your audience will comply as long as the request is reasonable. By applying a clear strategy and tailored your approach to each situation, routine requests will be efficient and effective. Structure for routine requests. Like any other business messages, routine requests have 3 parts of an opening, a body, and closing. When using the direct approach, open with the main idea, which is a clear statement of your request, and then use the body to give details and justify your request, and then close by requesting a specification action. Stating your request up front. Begin routine request by placing your initial request first. Up front is where it stands out and gets the most attention. But of course, getting right to the point should not be interpreted as license to be abrupt or tactless. Careful presentation includes the following. Pay attention to tone. Even though you expect a favorable response, the tone of your initial request is more important. Soften your request with words such as please and I would appreciate. Assume that your audience will comply. You can generally assume that your readers will comply with your request with a reason for it. It is clear and they see a benefit for themselves. Be specific and state the need precisely. Explaining and justifying your request. The body of the message explains the request. Whether writing a formal letter or a simple instant message, use the body for the request to list a series of questions such as follow from opening remarks, ask important questions first, but limit your questions to one topic. By doing so, it helps organize the message and help the reader identify important information as well. Requesting specific action in a courteous close. The closing of a routine request should include 3 important elements: stating a specific request, contact information for possible future communication, if action is required or requested, a specific date or time for compliance. Conclude messages by sincerely expressing goodwill and appreciation. The next slide will cover common examples of routine requests. The routine messages that you'll be writing will likely fall into a few main categories such as asking for information and action, asking for recommendations, and making claims and requesting adjustments. Asking for information and actions. When there's a need for information or for someone to take actions, the best course for the sender is to simply ask. In essence, simply request say what you want to know or what you want the reader to do, why you're making the request, and why it may be in the reader's interest to help you. If the reader is able to take actions, a straightforward request will get resolved quickly. Use the direct approach by opening with a clear statement of the reason for writing, providing whatever explanation is needed to justify the request, and closing with a specific description of what is expected and include a deadline if appropriate. Asking for recommendations. In business, companies will ask applications to supply recommendations from references. Before you volunteer someone's name as your reference, always ask permission to do so beforehand. Because requests for recommendations and reference are routine, the direct approach is appropriate. So open the message by clearly stating why this recommendation is needed and that a letter is requested. If contact has been limited for some time, use the opening to trigger the reader's memory of the scope of the relationship. Use the body of the message to provide details and reasons for the request. Close the message with expressions of appreciation. When asking for an immediate recommendations, also mention the deadline. Making claims and requesting adjustments. At one time or another, most consumers have problems with a product or service. Despite best intention, this is bound to occur, and resolving the situations will be much easier if one is prepared. There are basically two options of handling this type of difficult situations. Make a claim, a formal complaint documenting the writer's dissatisfaction. Request an adjustment, a settlement of a claim. If either case, it's important to maintain a professional tone in all communications. A rational, clear, and courteous approach is best for any routine request. Assume that a fair adjustment will be made and use a direct approach. In opening, provide a straightforward statement of the problem. In the body, give a complete, specific explanation of the details, providing information an adjuster would need to verify the complaint. In the close, politely request specific actions or convey a sincere desire to find a solution. The next sections will cover strategy for routine and positive messages. When you are responding positively to a request, sending a routine announcement, or sending a positive or goodwill message, you have several goals. To communicate the information or the good news, answer questions, provide all required details, and leave your reader with a good impressions of you and your firm. Reader receiving routine replies and positive messages will generally be interested in what you have to say. So use the direct approach. Use the body to explain all the relevant details and close cordially, perhaps highlighting a benefit of your reader. Starting with the main idea. By opening routines and positive messages with the main idea or good news, the audience is prepared for the details that follow. Make the opening clear and concise. The best way to write a clear opening is to first have a clear idea of what needs to be said. Organized thoughts will lead to a concise message that encourages actions. Providing necessary details and explanation. Use the body of the message to explain points completely and concisely so the audience won't be confused and doubtful about the meaning. When providing details, maintain the supportive tone established in the opening. If the routine message may elicit mixed reactions, convey mildly disappointing information in as favorable a context as possible. It's only when you suspect the reader will respond positively to this news that you should use the direct approach. Otherwise, the indirect approach would be best to soften the blow. Offering a favorable comment to the reader is often a positive way to use the body of the message. While these comments should be honest and thoughtful, they also serve to elicit a positive response to the reader. Ending with a courteous close. A routine or positive message is more likely to succeed if readers are left feeling that their best interests are being kept in mind. This can be accomplished by highlighting a benefit to the reader and clarifying what action is to be taken, and by whom, expressing appreciations or goodwill. The next sections will cover common examples of routine and positive messages. The most routine and positive messages fall into 6 main categories: answering requests for information and actions, granting claims and requests for adjustments, providing recommendations and references, sharing routine information, announcing good news, and fostering goodwill. Answering requests for actions or information. Every professional frequently answers requests. In fact, many receive requests so often that they hardly even notice. It's important, though, to treat all requests with respect and remember that someone needs something. A prompt and gracious response will positively reflect on the sender in his or her organizations. Occasionally, requests include the opportunity of improving business relations. When answering requests and a potential sale is involved, there are 3 main goals: respond to the inquiry and answer all questions, leave the reader with a good impression, and encourage a future sale. Granting claims and requests for adjustment. Even the best-run companies make mistakes. This unfortunate event may represent a turning point in the relationship between the company and the customer. If the situation is handled well, the customer is likely to be even more loyal than before. They now have the reason to believe the company is serious about customer satisfactions. Conversely, if the situation is handled poorly, the customer will be quite capable of taking that business elsewhere. Any response to a customer complaint depends on the company's policies for resolving such issues and assessment of whether the company, the customer, or some third party is at fault. In general, take the following steps. Acknowledge receipt of the customer's claim or complaint. Sympathize with the customer's inconvenience or frustrations. Take or assign personal responsibility for setting matters straight. Explain precisely how you have resolved or plan to resolve the situation. Take steps to repair the relationships and follow up to verify that your response was correct. In other words, maintain a professional demeanor. Providing recommendations and references. When writing a letter of recommendations, the goal is to convince readers that the person is being recommended has the characteristics necessary for the job, the project assignment, the scholarship, or any other objective. Successful recommendations letters include the candidate's full name, position sought, nature of your relationship, relevant facts regarding performance, and an overall evaluation. Be aware that recommendation letters have become a complex legal matter in recent years, so be sure to check company policies before writing a recommendation. Some companies, as well as some individual professionals, refuse to provide anything more than confirmation of dates of employment. Also keep in mind that when writing a recommendation, you are providing your own reputations on the line. Sharing routine information. Many messages involve sharing routine information such as project updates and order status notification. Most routine communication are neutral. That is why they stimulate neither a positive nor a negative response from readers. In instances in which the reader may not initially view the information positively, use the body of the messages to highlight the potential benefits to the reader. In instances when the information may receive a negative reactions, use the body of the messages to highlight potential benefits of the news and how it could positively impact the reader. Announcing good news. To develop and maintain good relationship, smart companies recognize that it's good business to spread the word about positive developments. Because good news is necessarily general welcome, use the direct approach. Good news announcements about company success are often communicated in a news release, also known as press release, a specialized document used to share relevant information with the news media. In most companies, news releases are usually prepared by special trained writers. The content follows the customary pattern for a positive message, good news followed by details in a positive close. Many companies now view the news releases as a general purpose tool for communicating directly with customers and other audiences, creating direct-to-consumer news releases. Many news releases are crafted to social media news releases as well, with built-in media sharing aspects such as tweetable bullet points. Fostering goodwill. Sending congratulations. One prime opportunity for sending goodwill message is to congratulate individual or company for significant business achievement. Congratulatory messages are typically easy to write and always appreciated. The nature of the relationship with a recipient determines a range of appropriate subjects. Sending messages or appreciation is often important managerial responsibility and requires the ability to recognize and contribution of employees, colleagues, suppliers, and other associates. This small task results in increased morale and is often kept as a personal memento of proud achievements. Moreover, in today's electronic media environment, a handwritten thank you note can be a particularly welcome acknowledgement. When sending a message of appreciation, specifically mention the person or being praised. Offering condolence are brief personal message written to comfort someone after the death of a loved one. These messages can feel intimidating to write, but they don't need to be. Follow these three principles, such as short, simple, and sincere. This concludes our discussions of the Section 4, describing 6 common types of routine replies and positive messages. Overall, in Chapter 10, we went cover writing routines and positive messages and business communications today. Thanks everyone for tuning in.